This presentation describes an upcoming IT project to improve our network security using Duo two-factor authentication, which will impact all KingsView employees. Security is important not just to KingsView, but to our customers and the regulatory bodies that KingsView is accountable to as well. You may not know, but KingsView's security practices are now reviewed as part of the annual fiscal audit, and we also contract with third-party vendors for annual penetration and vulnerability testing. Overall, KingsView has a very strong security posture, but one vulnerability which has been identified for the past several years is a lack of two-factor authentication, which we'll go over shortly. The simple fact is we can no longer put off this update. It's necessary to our security process and will be mandatory going forward in order to satisfy the legal and ethical standards of our business. Think about your medical records, the actual chart that you can hold in your hands. That chart is probably well taken care of, kept in a locked building, perhaps in a locked file cabinet. Locks are a physical factor of security, but there are ways to get past them given time or opportunity. Instead of these potentially vulnerable locks then, perhaps this facility wants to hire a security guard on patrol to only allow in the people that they are certain belong there, a knowledge factor of security. But this one isn't foolproof either. Using both methods in tandem, however, that is, both the physical and the knowledge-based factors of security, is exponentially safer than either of these methods in isolation. Layering security factors accomplishes more for security than any single countermeasure alone. This is the basis of two-factor authentication, having a second method of security working alongside the first. KingsView IT has researched multiple methods of two-factor authentication and settled on Duo based on its low impact, cost, ease of use, and flexibility to work across all of our programs. After review, the KingsView executive team has agreed that this direction is appropriate and necessary to KingsView as an organization, and as such we will be deploying Duo across the entire organization in stages over the course of 2018. Rather than operating from the same factor as your password, that is, something you know, Duo adds a second factor, something you have. In practical terms, this means you're receiving a call on your KingsView desk or cell phone, getting a push notification to your KingsView smartphone from the Duo app, or by using a passcode from a Duo-enabled keychain fob. We realize that with the advance of computers, we get used to doing things at a quicker pace, and this new method of security, however slight, will disrupt established flows and processes for the individual. We've taken all efforts to minimize this impact and weighed our employees' time heavily when going forward with Duo. So here's how it'll work. At present, accessing a KingsView computer is pretty straightforward. You sit at a terminal, enter your username and password, and you're in. Same for your email. Duo fits right in between these two steps. Here's what it looks like. In this example, Mr. Wayne has elected to have a push notification sent to his cell phone, which looks like this. After clicking on Accept, the login process immediately finishes and welcome. This process works similarly when you use the phone call method of verification, where Duo will call your desk phone and you simply have to answer and press any key. Or if you're using the authentication fob, which will generate a 6-digit code that you will type into the same window that we used to send that push notification a moment ago. Before we finish, let's go over a few frequently asked questions about Duo and two-factor authentication. Duo will roll out first with the corporate office and then work its way through the agency from there in phases. Each program will be contacted in advance to implementing Duo at their site. As Duo is rolled out to your location, more specific details will follow. However, in general terms, KVIT will automatically set up users with an assigned desk phone to authenticate to that phone. Cell phone users will require a download of the Duo application, and those using a Duo key fob will require a one-time setup between that employee's Duo account and the issued key fob. If you have employees who are regularly working in the field or who will otherwise not frequently have access to a desk phone, KVIT recommends issuing that employee a keychain fob. While using the cell phone application has very few drawbacks, there is the odd chance that reception or service may not be available at a given time, in which case having the keychain fob guarantees access to the system. Duo software is available both on Android and iOS phones, and you may certainly download and install this software to your personal device for use if you like. However, KingsView does not endorse nor support using personal devices in this fashion. Between having a KingsView issued desk phone, cell phone, or a keychain fob, there should be no use case where an employee is required to use their personal device as an authenticator. Duo carries a licensing fee which has been discussed and agreed upon with the executive team. The only other fiscal impact is on the individual Duo key fobs, which are available in packs of 10, and they cost $20 per unit, therefore $200 per order. Lost fobs are the responsibility of the program that the employee belongs to. Using Duo as a second factor of authentication will often take 5 to 10 seconds or less depending upon the method that the employee is using to authenticate. Duo will require authentication every time a user logs in or unlocks a PC on the KingsView network. It will also require authentication when logging into webmail, regardless of where you are accessing webmail from. KVIT can issue one-time bypass codes for employees in specific emergency scenarios. However, this would be a temporary solution, and the situation would need to be resolved back to a successful two-factor use case at the earliest possibility. Employees will need to contact the help desk for this code, and that includes after hours. If you have any additional questions, concerns, or comments about this two-factor authentication project, please email kvithelpdesk@kingsview.org. Thank you for watching.